Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy, C.O. Anthony, and my main man, Bryce Ward, rocking again the ugliest hat on the face of the planet. What's going on, Bryce?
This thing is beautiful. Let me tell you, this blue, this line work, the logo. I mean, this hat is beautiful. I want the same. They have the same one in black, all black hat. I'm gonna get that one too.
So you like the stitching of the hat, the stitching, okay?
Yeah,
So,
everything comes back in style. It's like 80s, early 90s all over again. You should see how short my shorts are nowadays. It's beautiful. Above
I'm
the knee.
actually wearing short shorts too.
There you go. See, you can't help it. Can't help it.
I don't wear them out the house though. I do not wear them out the house. No. Look, my girl likes them. I ordered them from Amazon. I didn't pay attention to the length of them. Okay. So it's
Mm,
like I have to wear them because I got them, but
mm.
she loves them. But I no, I don't go out in those things though. So really quick, we probably lost all our viewers right there. So really quick, um, I know this season you're super high on what could happen, and it's not doom and gloom just yet.
Yeah.
But you got the worst possible news you could get for your young team in the beginning of the season. So tell me what your raw emotions was when you saw the news.
Um, immediately torn down. Like that was my immediate reaction. I do tend
Mm,
to spin things back pretty quickly. That's just me personally. I can't sit and wallow for too long, but we also don't know the extent of it because the 4 to 6 weeks isn't an expected return date. It's a reevaluation time. And
mhm.
so if he doesn't respond well, his body doesn't respond well to what's going on, they will have to do surgery, and that would be the season, I believe, is what I'm hearing. So, but my initial reaction was like, I'm not sure exactly when it happened in the game. I remember seeing him grimace at one point, and then not just him, but the whole team kind of stopped getting to the basket in the fourth quarter, the second half of the game,
Mm,
and we there was a couple plays where Paolo was open, but still he wasn't driving at all, and I thought it was strange. But now it makes sense. If he did say he could feel it during the game, and he didn't really realize, of course, what it was yet. He just said
mm.
he felt it, so it definitely hindered him the rest of that game, which made sense. But no, I mean I was initially pretty down. Um, in terms of Paolo being healthy, I think this is the worst injury he's dealt with in his entire playing
Oh
career.
yeah.
Not just NBA. So I think there's a lot of resources and a lot of players he can lean on the Magic that have been through way worse. So I think he's gonna get through it okay. But in terms and it's not a leg thing, it's not a back thing. So I do like I think it's not gonna hurt him necessarily mentally, but I'm still, I'm holding out hope that he doesn't need surgery. I will say this
Right.
though. I will say this. In terms of my ultimate goal of hoping the Magic can win a championship, um, this season was going to be exciting, but in no real way were the Magic going to be actual title contenders. Not that they weren't going to be competitive, not that we weren't going to be excited to see what they did in the playoffs, that kind of thing. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't change the fact that we weren't going to get a championship this year. And so I've kind of spun it in my head to see like what this experiment can teach us. For example, we paid Franz the max. You know, can he step up his game to be the not do the same things Paolo did, because even though they have a similar build, Paolo has a much more raw strength to him. He's heavier. He hits guys way more. They do play different, even though they're both 6'10". But to see Franz kind of earn that money by being the guy who helps lead the team while Paolo's out, and to see who Jalen Suggs can be as a legit um, second option on the team while also learning to handle the ball a little bit more, which he'll have to do more now that Paolo's out, because even though Suggs is on paper our point guard, Franz and Paolo handle the ball still, I would say, as much as a point guard does. But now that Paolo's out, Suggs, I mean, the whole team has to step up in some ways. And so I know myself and some other Magic fans, especially with our younger guys, we're very interested to see what they do with Paolo out. We still believe we can. It's not like we're going to go 0-20 or whatever.
Right.
We're still going to win some games. Unfortunately, not nearly as many. But we're hoping we can sustain the boat long enough to where we'll still be in the playoff / play-in hunt. And I believe they can do that. And Paolo seems to be kind of like one of those freaks of nature in terms of, like,
Yeah.
people are all excited and hyped about Wemby and Chet, but Paolo is a specimen of a human being in his own right. He kind of goes under the radar, but that kid is huge, and he's been in amazing shape his whole life. Like I said, a sprained ankle his rookie year is the only real injury he's ever had before this. So I'm really hoping his body responds in its own way, and he doesn't have to have surgery. Just because it's third year for him, it's gonna in the games he's played, it appears as if he's taking a step forward this season as well. And I would just hate to see personally him as like a basketball player kind of lose that. So I have complete faith he's going to come back fine, even if he has to have surgery. I think there's things we can figure out through the season, and if the end goal is a championship, then yeah, this slows Paolo's development down a little bit, I think. But I believe in Paolo as a player, as a leader to a championship team or on a championship team. So yes, this season right now it does suck. Big picture wise, I think we're going to be okay. And I'm very interested to see the lineups and the way this team plays without him, because he is so important that I'm excited to see the rest of the team kind of step up. And because there's a lot to learn right now. It sucks, but it doesn't have to be complete doom and gloom if you look at big picture type of stuff. And I even think this season itself is salvageable. So
Yeah, I got friends on my fantasy team, so I think
oh, okay.
what,
You'll be
what,
fine. I have Suggs.
yeah,
I have Suggs in one of my leagues, and Suggs put
got
up
it.
a great. Suggs had 28, 8, and 6 with a couple steals,
Nice,
and a couple blocks. Yeah,
nice. Okay, we can
Suggs
talk
was
about
already
fantasy a
picking
little
up.
bit.
Suggs was already picking up his offensive load
Mhm.
already this season. I mean, we've talked about it being one of the main ball handlers, specifically with the mission to be a point guard. So, but
Yeah,
he's also going to put up. He's also been putting up more shots, more threes, and hitting them at a pretty efficient rate. So really, I'm excited to see Franz, Suggs, and those young guys. So
so I have the standings up, and the reason why, and I will say this, Paulo is he's gonna bounce back because he's a big strong kid, and Paulo is one of the few players in the league that actually makes his teammates better. And that's really an underrated thing right now because for example,
empty
I have to
stat.
fire. I have to fire my shot. I did not watch Vince Carter's jersey get retired yesterday because Vince Carter is one of the most overrated NBA players to ever exist. He never once made his teammates better, and as you said, he had empty stats. So there's no jersey retirement, no Hall of Fame. I don't give a fuck. He doesn't deserve it. Paulo's different. He impacts the game in so many ways and makes his teammates better at such a young age. I again, Alex Martin said by 2030, you guys are going to have a championship. I hope it happens because that kid's special. So moving right along.
And for all the haters and all the people calling him inefficient and trying to compare him to the likes of Scotty Barnes, this right here is coming from a Heat lifer who loves to call the Magic the tragic and little brothers, and
There you go. Yeah,
gets no
yeah,
more pleasure out of life than seeing the Magic fall. And this is the guy giving that kid his flowers. So people should pay attention to that, because
absolutely.
Paolo is special. Paolo is
Yeah,
special.
absolutely. Um, so I have the standings up because I'm going to give you your flowers. Of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers, which you said are going to be pretty good, are the number one team in the East right now. 2 weeks in, still early, but hey, it's better to start off good than to start off bad like the Milwaukee Bucks. So kudos to you for this Cleveland thing. And I will also say I did not remember who their new coach was, and their new coach is Kenny Atkinson, and he was the coach that led that Brooklyn team with like no one but D'Lo into the playoffs. You remember that a few years ago?
Very vaguely. I mean,
Yeah,
Brooklyn had so many iterations; it's hard to remember
right.
one anymore. But yeah,
This is before Durant, Harden, and Kyrie got there when they broke up that team, and everybody was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then the next team just disintegrated. But anyways, so yeah, he's pretty good coach. So I actually fuck with him. So I'm happy Cleveland's doing well right now. I still just have to see it in the playoffs. I just have to see it in the playoffs.
mm,
So as of right now, as far as playoff standings, you guys are still there in the top six. Cleveland, Boston, the Knicks, the Heat, the Bulls, shockingly, the Magic. So I've seen bits and pieces of all those teams except for Chicago. So I gotta really zone in on Chicago and see what's going on up there. As far as
Chicago played
playing,
us. Chicago played us really scrappy,
mm,
really fast. That they were getting out and running, and then they had some three ball help in the third quarter for sure.
mm,
But they looked, I would say this, more energized than what I saw them last season. I mean, Levine is healthy right now, or was healthy for at least the
right.
majority of that game. Giddy was playing well. I didn't get to watch Ball because he had already hurt his wrist and he missed that game. But they were getting out and running, and you know, Vooch still doing Vooch things on his own. So they actually just, the energy and the vibe seem to feel more upbeat. So that might just be a thing where Chicago's a little more relevant this year if Levine can also stay healthy.
Well, the biggest elephant in the room is this is their first year in this iteration of the Bulls
Hmm.
without Levine and DeRozan.
Yeah.
Um, so that it might be something there. Just
Hmm.
throwing that out there. It might be something there. Um, and then of
And
course the
also,
Magic.
even if Levine plays well, and even if Chicago has some success, depending on how it goes, Levine could still be on the trading block. It could just be raising his stock before they get rid of him. I mean, who knows?
If they trade him, they got to blow it up because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't see them
I
building around Giddy. You can't trust Lonzo's health. Vooch is old. Yeah, they might as well blow up that whole thing if they trade Levine.
if yeah.
So we have Brooklyn, the Wizards, the Hawks. Don't shake your head with the Wizards.
Seven
And
and
Charlotte,
10 are all a bit wild, except for maybe Atlanta and Charlotte. All right, 7 and 8, I just don't see holding up. But I get it.
Jordan Poole, and we'll talk about it later, is having his revenge tour. Look at his stats. Just saying. All right, here we go. So we're gonna look at the Western Conference real quick. But
Oh, wait,
before
wait,
I go
wait,
to the
wait,
West,
wait. Scroll down to see the teams that aren't in the top 10 because it's pretty important, I think, as well.
yes,
Indiana,
forgive me.
Sixers, and Bucks, dude. The only team that should be down there is Toronto, which is awesome. Sixers and Bucks and
The
Pacers.
Sixers have an excuse. The Sixers have an excuse.
Yeah, they do.
Embiid and Paul George hasn't played this season, so they have an excuse. And we'll get
What's
on Joel
Indiana's
Embiid.
excuse?
Huh?
What's Indiana's excuse? Because Halliburton has not looked like Halliburton from last year.
I think he's feeling himself a little bit. That's what I think. I think he's not as locked in as he was last year. He's having too much fun off the court. Not
Hmm.
bad shenanigans, but he's popping up everywhere. Rant like you said, he was in WWE a few weeks ago. It's like focus on basketball right now. Um, my Milwaukee Bucks, they started hot yesterday. I will say that Dame had a hell of a game. Giannis had a hell of a game. Man, this is rough.
Because you have to think that even with
This is rough, man.
Middleton back, they're not winning. It's not going to change enough.
They're
They're too
done.
old, and their defense just isn't what it was.
They're cooked. They're cooked.
They got no
And
depth apparently.
so the question is, do you fire Doc Rivers, who's getting off to a worse start than the coach that he replaced last year? It's just like my New York boys said it's karma that the Bucks are going through this right now. We've heard a lot of whispers this week that someone may ask out. I still think it's a little too early for that. Um, me and Giannis have flirted before in the past, and he turned his back on me and then shitted on me in the playoffs. So I'm not the most enthused about these rumors. But who do you think ask out first, Dame or Giannis?
Dame with Giannis not far behind.
Boys, look at
They
that.
made a desperate move to get him, to get
Right,
Dame. He didn't want to
right,
go there, so we know Dame didn't want to be there to begin with.
right.
So to me, it's probably him. Um, but there's definitely a feel of being desperate to
Mhm.
keep Giannis, and that's been going on for a few seasons because we know the timing of everything. He could be gone soon, and so yeah, I think it's Dame and then Giannis. So I think Milwaukee has to, even though they don't want to, I think they're getting close to the edge of the cliff where they're just going to have to blow up the team because, well, I mean, you have no team after those two guys are gone. You might as well
Right.
package up what you can and start trying to maybe. I mean, it sucks. There's no way they do it, but if if they really wanted to try to get ahead of this thing, you fire Doc. You trade the guys, you fire Doc, and you get on that Cooper Flag sweepstakes because this draft looks not just with Flag, but it looks like this is going to be a decent draft from what people are saying.
Right. So I gave the Magic the flower, so I'm going to give you a shot here. If you're the Miami Heat and you know Dames wants to play there, you knew Giannis in the past was really wanting to play there for a minute. You can't get them both. So out of the two, if you were the Miami Heat, which one would you go after harder?
Mm, Giannis. I mean,
Giannis still.
I don't even. Yeah, it's Dame's older. Dame impacts the game in less ways, in my opinion. I feel like it's easier. I still think you can surround Giannis with the right people, and you have a championship caliber team. I think you have to go out and find someone better than Dame to do that. So if you
Okay.
give me the pick, I'm going Giannis. Um, I know for me the Heat. If I was the Heat to really upgrade, the only person that wouldn't be touchable is maybe Bam. I think even Butler at this point
That's
should be on the
blasphemous.
table.
That's blasphemous. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He's getting older.
Bam,
He's going to demand a lot of money. He still hasn't proven he'll win you a championship.
but
Bam,
he's gone there twice.
Bam,
He's gone
and
there
more.
twice. He's gone there twice. Now Bam is having a good start of the season outside of the game against the
To be
Magic.
honest, I would trade him. That's all I'm saying.
Bam had a great game last night. He's really adding to his offensive repertoire, which is shocking to me. I think, and this is what I think. It hasn't been said, but I think Bam's the go-to guy now. I don't think Jimmy's the go-to guy anymore. I think it's Bam. Um, Bam and Jimmy are absolutely untouchable. If Giannis gets to Miami, I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. If he gets to Miami, here's the most devastating thing we can do, and we kind of did it with LeBron sometimes. We can play Giannis at five because Bam doesn't want to play five. So you keep Bam at four. You play Giannis at the five. You got Jimmy at the three. Jesus Christ, that would be absolutely undestructible front court. So I think if it happens, don't shift Bam to the five, shift Giannis to the five. Um, Joel Embiid has been questioned this week by fans, by one of the columnists in Philadelphia, and then apparently he had some comments earlier in the week saying that pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing, that it's stupid that the idea of him not wanting to play and things of that nature. And he confronted the reporter last night. And actually, there was a shouting match, and Embiid pushed the guy, and Embiid told him, the next time you bring up my dead brother and my son again, you're going to see what I'm going to do to you, and I'm going to have to live with the consequences. That's what Embiid told this
Um,
reporter. Um, how much pressure do you think Joel Embiid is starting to feel from the Philadelphia fan base? Because we do know New York's bad, Los Angeles bad, and then Philly's bad as far as the press. So, how much pressure do you think Embiid is feeling? Because it looks like he's starting to crack right now.
yeah, I definitely don't feel like this would be happening. Say he's in OKC
Mhm.
or even like just whatever market you want to throw out there outside of those big three. There's definitely some scrutiny everywhere you go if you're not winning games. I don't care what your reasoning is. Like he could have a broken leg, and if you start off 0-5, people are going to start questioning because this isn't a single season thread. This is an ongoing issue with Embiid, and so I think that fan base is so much louder and puts such a magnifying glass on things that it is different there. But uh, Embiid has such a bad history of injury woes that if I was a Phillies fan, I would just be tired of it in general. Um,
Mhm.
it wouldn't even necessarily have to be about load management. It's just like even if it was a legit injury, I would be frustrated at this point. You know what I mean? It's just it's nice to have a player like Embiid, but like people say, the best the best ability is availability.
Right.
Um, I don't care that you're an MVP if you don't play. So I understand the fans' frustration. I understand his frustration. I'm not saying that he wants to not play basketball. I won't go as far as say that. But I will say that maybe the plan that he and the Sixers have in place to try to save him for playoffs and try to, be extreme as careful with his body as they can be. I get the rationale, but I also get the frustration because you can't just sit there as a fan base and watch your team lose game after game and be excited. Like I said, this isn't the only season this has happened. This might be the roughest start they've had, but Embiid's injury woes have been their problem since he's been there.
Right.
So I get both sides, if that makes sense. And to be honest, the media, people shouldn't be bringing up dead brothers and sons. You are asking for it, but at the same time, Embiid should know what you know. Ask for a trade, then leave. But Philly, that city will be the way it is forever. Like if you're gonna
Right.
be a star there, you better have the thick enough skin to deal with it because if you attack someone, even if everybody thinks you have just reason, you're still gonna get in trouble. And I get both sides. I almost feel like he's worn out that
Mhm.
situation. I almost feel like everybody involved just needs to move on. Kind of like the Bucks situation. It's very different. But if the writing's on the wall, if a championship's not truly in play, if that window is closed, I know Philly has higher hopes with those guys healthy. I get it. But at this point, it hasn't worked out. And both, the fans and him may be souring on the situation. So it just sucks. It sucks because of how good Embiid is, but it just hasn't worked out.
Here's the back half to that question. Maxi's playing 41 out of 48 minutes each night.
Mhm.
The kid's 23. We don't know when Paul George is going to come back. We don't know when Embiid is going to come back. Do you think Maxi is carrying too much of the load right now?
Not too much. I mean, I think on any team you're gonna have injuries. So yeah, like this is like I said, they should be title contenders with everybody healthy,
Yeah.
but asking a lot of your young star guard, I don't think's too crazy. I mean, he
41 out of 48 minutes? Get out of here.
go to Thibodeau's team and see how crazy it is.
Get out
I
of
mean,
here.
if he was on Tom Thibodeau's team, he'd be playing the entire game, like Josh Hart in the play. All right.
Josh Hart's a beast, though. That kid is amazing. He's a beast, man. He is. I wish
No,
I
I
had Josh
mean,
Hart
I
on my
mean,
team.
if Maxie was like 33 or 32 or something, like maybe, but
Right,
no,
right.
no, no. Let the young man run. Let him run.
So we're going to take a quick hop into the Western Conference because there is one team here I definitely want to talk about. So OKC and Cleveland are the only two undefeated teams in the NBA. Phoenix is really playing good, and I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you, man, their offseason addition of Tyus Jones has really settled that offense in. Okay. God knows I wanted him in Miami, but whatever.
Are they getting you to start the season this year? You said last year they wouldn't get you anymore.
Oh
You
no, no.
said
All I'm
last year
saying is,
they wouldn't get you anymore, and here you go, 6 games of the season. You're like, Phoenix looking pretty good.
look, all I'm saying is that they needed someone to steady that offense, and Tyus Jones has look at his numbers. He's been phenomenal steadying that offense. You got the Warriors, man. They
Even
still
and
around.
Curry's missing some games. Curry's
Yeah,
missing games, so
and they're winning. Yeah. The Lakers, of course, are looking good. Dallas, Memphis,
do we gotta
and then
give
you see
Jason some flowers?
give who flowers?
Reddick,
Not yet.
not yet.
Um, no, because he still does what LeBron tells him to do. So not yet. But we will
I
give
saw him
flowers to
yelling at LeBron though, which is a good sign.
yeah.
I think
We'll give flowers to Anthony Davis though, because he's been playing
that's
absolutely
he was playing like an
phenomenal.
MVP.
Bro, he's been if I had to pick one a day, it'd probably be him. So now we have the Spurs, the Timberwolves, the Rockets, and the Kings in the play-in. I think the Timberwolves are going to figure it out. But number 11. What the fuck, Bryce, do you think is going on in Denver right now?
To be honest, I have no idea. And I know on our season preview, me and Kevin both picked Denver. I would have to immediately pull that back. I still believe Denver can make the playoffs, right? I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, but
Right,
I
right.
definitely think something's far enough off to where they're not winning. They're not winning a title. No, they're not even going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. But
Wow.
I
They won
don't
last
know.
night, thank God. But they beat Utah, who hasn't won a game. So they were under 500 up until last night.
They pulled out a couple an overtime win
Yeah,
too. Like they're barely
Toronto.
scraped
Mhm.
by, and they're still bottom of the barrel in the West right now. And so, to be honest, I haven't got to watch a Denver game yet. I'm hearing their offense is having major problems scoring the ball. Um, you know, I don't know why all of a sudden it seemed like the year Denver won the championship. Yeah, Jokic is an MVP, but it seemed like Murray was kind of a darling of that team, finally healthy and finally playing so well in the playoffs that it seemed like they were going to be good for a while with that tandem. And then their
Right.
defense, their 3-point shooting with um, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, like it just seemed like they were, you know, kind of like the perfect bigger team that could still shoot threes. Like it just seemed they were so perfect. And to see in like a season, I mean 2 seasons, but we're in the beginning of the second season, to see the drop off. I'm not quite sure what it is. You mentioned the other day off air that you think it has something to do with the team reacting to the coach still at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the thing. I know KCP, besides his defense, isn't exactly lighting up the scoreboard right now for Orlando, but them losing that reliable 3-and-D guy. He was with the Lakers for another championship, just
Right.
like a good locker room guy by all accounts, a good vet, good defender. They did lose him, and now they're relying on some of their rookies, or not rookies, but younger players that really haven't had much experience the last few seasons. I just wonder if they bet more on their young guys and it's not working out yet, and then Murray maybe isn't giving you the same spark that he was 3-4 years ago. So I think it's a combo of things. I think you're right about maybe the coach. I think he might be on the hottest seat because that's just that's the way these things go, whether it is his fault or not. It might be a player personnel problem, a Jamal Murray problem, and a coaching problem, all tied into the same thing. So it definitely seems like they have more than one question they have to answer to even be competitive in the West this season. But the drop off has been, I would say, maybe the most surprising thing in the league. Even with
Yeah.
Philly Even with it's on par. It's worse than Milwaukee because Milwaukee still was a mystery in a sense. Denver, most people really expected Denver to still be really good. So
Yeah, and I would say it's worse than Philly because, like I said, the two of the three stars in Philly haven't played.
yeah, they're
Everyone's been playing.
different. Yeah.
Everyone's been playing with Denver, and this is this is what I'm surprised about. And before we wrap it up, I'm going to say this: I will never, ever, ever say anything bad about Russell Westbrook. But I'm really surprised that people aren't blaming him at this point because they seem to blame him for everything else. Um, but I really do believe they've tuned out Michael Malone. And don't get me wrong, I love coaches like Michael Malone. But I think when you have a veteran team, like because they are a vet team, sometimes you have to pull it back just a little bit. Um, and I think he needs to adjust because he's tough, man. And at a certain point in time, when you're a grown ass man, you can't talk to me like that. Like I know what the fuck to do. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it could be a little bit of that going on. But we'll see, man, because like Denver and Milwaukee, this start they're getting off to is unbelievably bad right now. Now, don't get me wrong, Milwaukee's gonna make changes before Denver does. But Denver just won the championship 2 years ago. Milwaukee won it a year ago. I'm sorry, 3 years ago. I don't know, man. This is wild. This
There's
is wild.
with how competitive the league is. I'll just go ahead and say the entire league. You can't.
Mhm.
You'll fall off too fast now. It won't be
Right,
gradual. Someone will take your top spot.
right. So I definitely believe that I think Denver will be able to bounce back more so than Milwaukee,
Mm.
but both conferences are stacked right now, East and West. So um,
And
we'll
with the
see.
Lakers and Golden State
Mhm.
overperforming finally compared to last season, those top spots. There's not many of
Right.
them left. There's not many of them left.
Right. And this is what I'll say about fantasy because I know you have a good team. I think I have the best team, but I'm not bragging about that. Jordan Poole revenge season. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Who's the standout on your team, on your fantasy team?
Um, I have to think because I do two leagues, so I'm trying to think
Okay.
specifically in our league. Well, I mean, let's be real. I got Jokic and Lamelo Ball. Lamelo's been okay, but
Oh, that's playing good.
Jokic's still balling, even though Denver's losing.
Mhm.
Um, uh, our teams are stacked because we only have eight players. So right now, to be honest, I mean Curry was putting up fun numbers before he got hurt too. So the standout's still Jokic. It's still nothing comparable. I'd have to look at my team. I can't think of my team right now. If I'm being, I'm blanking on my team.
Right.
I'm. The standouts, the surprises have been in my other league, which happens to be, well, Giannis is always good, but I've had to replace some players, and so uh, Grady Dick. I know. Look at Grady Dick's stats lines for the last since he for the beginning of the season, and it's pretty fun.
I'll take a look at it. I want to show you this because in my other league the other night, someone picked up Norman Powell. I didn't even think about Norman Powell. I knew James Harden was going to have a great season, but Kawhi is out. So
Hmm.
yeah, someone else is going to step up. 37, 20, 30, 23, 24. I picked him up last night. I was
Hmm.
like, until Kawhi gets back, I'm like, damn, because James Harden does need a running mate, so it just made sense. And
Yeah, somebody.
no one drafted him. And I was just like, in my
Well,
other
see,
league, like this, somebody did pick him up though.
the fun thing about our league is that there is only 8 teams, so usually there is still some talent that's undrafted. There's usually a couple of these guys that gets undrafted, so it's just a matter of if you need them and finding the right guy. But yeah, it's always fun to have a free agent pickup that's just blowing things up.
I just typed in Dick to I
Yeah,
thought you said, oh, you have him in your other league. You don't have him in our league. Okay.
correct. But in
Um,
terms of being surprised, he's surprised me, and that's the name that stood out.
look at that.
Yeah,
25, 15, 30, 31, and 22.
but
Hmm.
look, he's got steals, he's got rebounds. I mean, the assister, whatever, but still, he's doing a little bit of everything, and he's only a second year player. So,
Right, right, right.
like I said, of the people that immediately stood out on your question, I would say he's one of the guys that popped into my head. Yeah.
I was trying to see if I could drop somebody for him, and at this time I cannot. But because my team's,
And I will say this: you have Franz, so you'll be keeping an eye on that. Take a look at Suggs,
but
and keep
Franz is
an
on
eye.
my other team. Yeah, he's on my other team. He's not on. He's not on this one. He's on my
Okay.
other team.
Yeah.
But I think someone in the other league has Suggs. I know Mike drafted Suggs in our league, so yeah, Suggs is not in play for me right now. Um, but yeah, man. 1 second. I want to thank everyone for joining the Hardwood Nation podcast this week. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. Drop comments below. We always respond. Everyone stay safe, and we are out.